My earliest memory of music, we were at our first preschool that we went to. David and I performed in the talent show they had there, and I was either 3 or 4, and David was either 4 or 5, and we sang "Carry On My Wayward Son."
And butchered it.
It was terrible.
We butchered it.
But I think the feeling that we got watching our family be like, yeah, and support us and stuff really made us want to do that more and more, and that kind of inspired us to keep going. And then we started singing in church, and we joined the junior praise team. For me, it's my biggest de-stressor. If I have a long day at school or something, and really anything happens, my first thing I want to do is jump to the piano and sing, so I can just kind of release that tension that I have. And in church, it is my easiest way of connecting with God is through music, just because that's how I express my emotions and just all my feelings. So it's easier for me to do that than it is for me to articulate with words how I'm feeling.
When I was your foe, still your love fought for me.
With guitar and singing, and when him and I get together and we just jam in the basement, those are the times where I don't really have a care in the world other than just messing around, making the music that we want to make. And when we get to church, I am so comfortable doing what we do. It's just the best way that we have to worship. And the best part about it is that at Messiah, we can do it together. And it's really, really cool to do and to watch each other grow, because we've been doing it since, third, second grade?
We were small.
Yeah.
We can both kind of agree that the most difficult thing we had to go through was when I was 9, I think, and David was 10.
Yeah.
Our dad got diagnosed with stage 4
Oropharynx cancer.
Oropharynx cancer.
Basically, just throat cancer.
For about 18 months, he fought very hard and went through radiation and chemotherapy and all the stuff.
Yeah.
And
he had to take a break for a while because his pancreas wasn't taking the chemo very well. And at the time, it looked like it was going to be, he was doing really well. And then about a month later, when he came back, he had his first CAT scan after, and the cancer had spread to every part of his body. And that's immediately, he basically said, there's no real point. And he was right. And then he went on hospice.
Yeah, he was on hospice for, I think, it was a couple months. It wasn't super long. November, he passed away. And that was hard. So
the first Sunday we went back to church, it was a sermon all about death.
It was so Saturday was the funeral, and then Sunday, and there's no way that this could have been planned out, but he got up to the podium and he just goes, "Death, kick the bucket," and it started making a bunch of different
upstairs.
Yeah. And then our whole family was in the row, and we just started dying laughing. That wasn't a pun, but we couldn't control ourselves.
But I do remember getting back on stage and the feeling, like the relief of being back and doing it. It took a little while to get used to everything because there was a lot of mental turmoil, and I kind of figured that out through confirmation and figured myself out spiritually. It took me a while to get over the thought that God had taken Dad away. And for a while, I chose not to believe because of that thought that if he's perfect, he wouldn't do that. When I started writing my testimony, thank you. I picked my life verse, and then I did some soul searching, and I went through my Bible and my New Testament Bible, and I went through some verses, and I found Psalms 108. I was singing "Make music with all my soul, awake harp and lyre, I will awake the dawn," and that became my life verse. And then through that, I found a whole bunch of other verses, and I realized, and I think it's the biggest thing that I've learned and that I want people to know is that if you lose someone, God doesn't take that person away from you. He takes their pain away from them. And human nature is kind of to be selfish. And that was my issue, was that I was 11 and I was kind of thinking God's attacking me. And then it took me so long to think about Dad and how much pain he was going through for some reason. But when I got it. And God took his pain away from him. And that's what he does for anyone that passes away. They're home now. It's not just they're gone forever. Like, I'm going to see him again. We're going to see him again.
I think it's a hard concept for a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Death in itself. It's hard for anyone, but having to come to terms with that. And I think it still like shifts back and forth, because right now we're in a big transition part in our lives. So like it's weird growing up still and having that kind of void. But thankfully we have so much people that support us and friends and family that there isn't like, I don't feel like there's something missing anymore.
Mm-hmm. And we got really close through that. Like we were always close, but we got a lot closer because we found confidence in talking through it with each other, like talking through our feelings and everything that was going on in school, which is partly why performing with each other is so great, because we trust each other that much.
Buried, he carried my sins far away.
It's Matthew 11:28. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. He said that in church a couple weeks ago. I've been struggling with all this kind of recently, just because senior year and graduation and stuff, and it's comforting to know that all of these things that I'm putting on myself, like that I don't need to do that, because he'll take that burden off of me and like take the load off my chest, so I don't have to carry it all by myself.
Trust the people in your life, because they will help you and they will comfort you in times where you feel like you can't be comforted. And also trust that God has a plan, because sometimes it can't be seen in the moment, because it doesn't come until way later. But keep an open mind and keep an open heart, and let that thought be comforting to you, that it will, in the end, be exactly what you want it to be.
The thing that comforted me the most throughout everything that we went through, that through like the grieving process, to think that God did not take the person out of your life, and nothing that happens is your fault, but he is removing the pain from that person and calling them home, I think was the most comforting thing for me, and is something that could comfort other people.
And also that through everything that you feel in that situation you're going through, he still loves you. He never stopped. He's with you through every single step you take, and he's with the person you've lost too. you don't need to worry. And you're going to see him again.